Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, then please do not continue to listen until after you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. I am so excited, you guys. We actually have our first podcast guest. Welcome, Viano. We have been talking about having you on our podcast forever.
We're excited to have you here.
Yes.
It's about time.
But for those who don't know, this is pretty much our 1 year anniversary podcast. I believe our 1 year anniversary is technically this Friday, but we're like, whatever. It's the week of, close enough.
Yeah.
But we have of course our guest star for this episode, and then we'll also have him on our live stream on Saturdays. So keep an eye out for that. But anyways, and we have a seasoned podcaster on our show. So because you started podcasting like a year or 2 years before us.
Oh, it was about a year before y'all.
A year. Yeah, but
lightly salted.
Yeah, but I'm sure our format probably seems a lot more informal than what you normally do. But anyways, yeah, that's true. Off to tea. So I'll start us off. I'm so excited because I've been wanting to try the what brand is it? Bigelow. The Bigelow cold tea infusions forever, and I got it for Christmas, and so I am drinking the watermelon cucumber mint iced tea, and it's pretty tasty.
That one's pretty good. Yes. So I am drinking Brutality's Night of the Living Red Apple.
Oh, perfect. Very appropriate.
Yeah. And it has red rooibos, apple pieces, cinnamon bark, natural apple, cinnamon, and caramel flavors.
Ooh, that sounds...
Yes.
I think you got me that one too.
I haven't tried it yet. I'm waiting for it to cool down just a little bit.
Excited.
But I'm excited.
That does sound very tasty.
Yes.
I am drinking Stash. I have to read it because I'm like, huh? Stash Premium Vanilla Nut Cream Decaf Tea with honey to soothe my throat because I woke up early this morning and decided let's do some hardcore rock vocals, and now my throat hurts.
A bad day to do it.
Choices were made.
Choices were made. Mistakes as well.
But while you guys are sipping away, so today we are doing Bearing the X. And you like it?
It's delicious.
Ooh, yay.
Yes.
Is it like on the scale of like how good is the tea?
Dude, 10 out of 10. It's like a caramel apple. It's delicious.
Ooh, okay. I can't wait.
It's good. Mm-hmm.
But anyways, so the summary of Bearing the X is a person who is super into horror, like he even works at a horror store, makes a wish with his girlfriend that they'll always be together, and this devil genie thing fulfills that by bringing his girlfriend back from the dead after she gets killed from getting hit by a bus. And the fun part is the girlfriend is an extreme narcissist. So it's
an abusive relationship.
Yeah. But so entertainment.
Can I make one really small critique. They didn't even actually make a wish that, because all they said was, "Promise we'll be together forever and always."
I think the girlfriend said at one point, "I wish we could always be like this."
I did hear "I wish," but
Okay.
it was pretty shoddy.
Yeah, so subtle that I must have missed it because like all I heard was like promise and promise and promise, and then Jeannie's like, "That's close enough."
I mean, they were like in the middle of a casual conversation, so the genie very much was like close enough. But entertainment, like this movie is definitely entertaining, but it's also frustrating because you hate the girlfriend. Like you want, like we, like as soon as she came on screen, we're like, when is she gonna die? like please kill her.
In the first 15 seconds, hate her.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
literally.
and then of course whenever she like comes back from the dead, she's like even worse, and we're like, when is she gonna die again? But it's like there's so many cute romantic moments between the ice cream shop owner and the main character. Oh, this one's tough. Cause I don't think I think I would give it like a 6.5. It's like it's not quite good enough for a 7. I'm not going to like rewatch it all the time. It's going to be like once in a great while type of movie, but I'd totally rewatch it. What about you guys?
Honestly, I'd put it at like an 8. Like it the quips were fun.
Yeah, that's true.
I hated the ex, but it was one of those where it's like it's fun to hate her.
That's
because
true.
she is just, let's make a list of every possible stereotype of a really annoying vegan and check them off one by one. And that played in really well to her being so controlling and manipulative and abusive. So, like, it's really, really satisfying when they're like actually beating the shit out of her at the end.
Yeah. Okay, you buttered me up. I'm raising it to a 7. But that's as far as I'll go.
So I also give it a 7, a hesitant 7.5. It is a really funny movie. This is, I think, the 3rd or 4th time I've seen it, and it just gets better every time. It's hilarious, and you notice different things each time you watch it. So there's good pacing. It is slightly awkward. He is a giant nerd, and so is the love interest, but they're cute and you ship them immediately.
Yeah.
Like it's hard not to really root for them. And the ex is psychotic, abusive, terrifying. They do a really good job at making you hate her right off the bat. She's just over the top. Please kill her. So when she gets hit by the bus, we were all celebrating. It was wonderful.
Yeah, and
yes.
Yeah, like I agree the pacing was pretty good. Like they give you just enough of her in the beginning where you're like you really like come on, break up with her, and then of course the tragedy happens. And then they let you sit on it for a little bit, be like, okay, she's dead for a little bit. And then whenever she comes back, you're like, no. Like
right when he finds someone.
Yeah, and I was actually so surprised to see that the movie doesn't have that good of reviews.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for everyone, but it just depends on the taste, really. I do feel like the main guy is a little bit spineless, and that does annoy me a little bit, but it takes all kinds, and that's just the personality type of some people, and I get it. And it did further the plot a little bit. He did we don't know how long he was in that abusive relationship where she was manipulating him over and over, and that can really wear on a person.
Yeah.
So I do get it, and it did help in the movie when she came back that he didn't completely go insane. Like he knows this is bad. He wasn't going to do anything with her. He wanted out of the relationship to begin with.
Yeah.
So he's looking into things. He realized that it was the genie after she mentioned it, and when it broke, he then went to the books and did a little bit of research. He tried to banish her, and then he asked for help. The thing I take issue with is if you're going to call the police, maybe don't lead with my dead ex-girlfriend.
Oh my god, yes. Like,
Maybe don't lead with that, especially on Halloween. Like,
yeah.
maybe try something else.
Well, even with, like, even if it wasn't Halloween, you don't say,
Yeah.
like, so, I promise I'm not crazy and I'm not on drugs, but my ex-girlfriend came back from the dead. No, you just say, my crazy ex-girlfriend showed up at my apartment and ate my brother.
Well, like, killed and ate.
Killed and ate.
Yes.
Like, I
That's
mean,
an important distinction.
it's presumed he's dead if she ate him.
Or it could be a euphemism for they screwed in his apartment.
But then why would you call 911 for that?
Yeah.
If he's the crazy one. The whole thing sounds a little
I mean,
cuckoo.
but the whole thing sounds cuckoo, but when you say, like, my ex-girlfriend showed up at my apartment and ate my brother, so usually, when you're talking about having sex with a dude, eating is not usually the euphemism used.
Fair.
That's generally if you're
Fair.
screwing a girl.
Fair. It is LA, but fair.
I mean, unless she's eating ass, which, you know, don't kink shame anybody.
Guys, if you haven't realized already, this is not a family-friendly episode.
I mean, I don't think our episodes have ever been family-friendly, to be fair.
Fair.
I'm going to crank up the not
Just
so
NSFW.
family-friendly.
Yeah, like, this is a horror show. I'm sorry, but kids don't need to be seeing horror movies, especially, like, the bloody ones and stuff, but anyways.
Yeah.
The gore is fine. We just can't talk about eating ass. That's just too far.
Oh, no. I feel like we need a shirt now that says that. or a tea mug. We can start off our episodes with that. I knew this was a good idea.
On one side of the mug it says the gore is fine. On the other side it says you just can't talk about eating ass.
Oh my god. Oh my god. But I do think, though, overall, like, the director knew what he was doing. I didn't get any feeling of that they were kind of losing sight of the focus of the film or anything like that, like we are with this podcast.
They weren't all over the place. They had a clear objective, good pacing. They didn't really stray from the plot or anything.
Yeah, I really don't have too many complaints. It's like the main thing is, like, if you hate being annoyed at, like, particular characters or, like, hating them, then this movie would definitely drive you nuts.
Or the cringe when they're being really awkward, the couple,
lots of
the
cringe.
couple that you ship and that you're rooting for.
I'll be
with
honest.
how awkward they are.
I'll be honest, like, to me, like, from my perception, their awkwardness level wasn't too bad. I've seen way more awkward, that where it's just like full blown cringe. like anything that Michael Cera's in, and just any of those like teenage comedies. Like that's cringe awkwardness. This is adult awkwardness, which is less cringy than teen awkwardness.
Yeah.
It was a bit adorable.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
I totally agree. But yeah, this was a really fun movie. And we were talking about this before we started recording, that there's really not too many super scary horror movies for Valentine's Day. But I mean, this movie, this is a good replacement, because it's like, it's just, you very much get that horror sense with it. I mean, the main character's a horror fan, but it's just such a fun movie, and it also like warms your heart in some places. And then, of course, you're rooting for the death of the ex girlfriend, and it's just a fun movie overall.
Send the dead back to death.
Except the brother, like they kept him around.
They made an exception for the brother.
I mean, it's kind of like the end of
Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, that's the movie I was thinking of. Feel like you gotta,
it gave me that vibe.
you gotta keep the like comedic guy around at the end.
And he was still funny, and I mean, it works well for their advertising.
Yeah,
it's on brand.
Yeah,
definitely on brand there. I love the names that they gave everything. The ice cream shop was called Ice Cream.
Yeah, I loved it. It's
and
so
then
cute.
At the end, they call it Max and Olivia's crematorium. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Come on. The puns were on point in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome. And
I remember seeing in the reviews, like, they mentioned that it was either the director or the producer from Gremlins.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the director.
Yeah. So it's got that same kind of like spirit to it, where it's just kind of silly.
It's a little spoofy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good compromise, though. If you don't really like full-on horror movies, but you want just a little bit of it in there, this is a really good compromise.
I did actually get startled when she like shows up after he stabs her in the head. I did get startled a little bit by that. So there's your one jump scare for the whole movie.
Yeah.
See, I did. I thought it was really creepy.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I thought it was really creepy when Evelyn was going after. I should remember her name. The ice cream shop. Yeah, Olivia. Where you just see like the darkness and then the red. Like that was pretty creepy.
Cool. Yeah, those were good effects. Those were very nice. And it's things like that that make it not quite a B movie.
Yeah.
It's not like super A-list, but it's not quite a B movie either.
Like a B+ or an A-.
Yes. Yeah, it's like right in there, right in between. I did feel my stomach drop when he opens the door and it's her. When she just came back from the dead. He had just had a really nice moment with Olivia, and they're like, you know what? Let's just say our goodnights so it doesn't go too far too soon, and it'll be fine. And he opens the door hoping that it's her still, and then he sees Evelyn. Just all the bad feelings come back.
Yeah, you felt for him. But was there anything else you want to add before we move on to realism?
I don't think I had anything else for entertainment. How about you, V?
I just found them like a lot of the characters very relatable.
Yeah.
Except for Evelyn.
Yeah.
Fuck Evelyn.
Yeah, the only thing that related to her is that she's like planet conscious, but she was such a unlikable person.
She's such a freaking bitch about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So for realism, what would y'all give it?
Well, putting aside the
Suspend
fact,
reality
yeah.
for the zombie.
Yeah.
Well, the rotting away, that was a interesting effect, and I think that probably added to the realism because it doesn't matter whether or not you're brought back from the dead. Like there's nothing really stopping you from not decomposing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But and then the fact that he was in a toxic relationship and was having a really hard time, like I felt like this movie was really much a good representation of what that feels like and how sometimes you do feel like your only out is for the person to die because it's just so difficult to let go, not only for you, but that person, you know, is like harassing you or whatever, so that way you don't let them go. But
it's a very extreme situation.
Well, yeah.
Giant asterisk there.
Well, but I mean, horror movies are a representation of events and fears and stuff like that. And this is a good representation of being stuck in a really, like, not a physically abusive relationship, but a very bad, like, emotionally abusive relationship. It's like, it's borderline, like, you know, other people can tell that she's a bitch, but they are not outright being like, you need to break up with her because it's a little bit harder to see how that impacts a person. But I might be being too nice, but I would give it a 6 because the decomposing I wasn't completely buying, but they at least like they eventually did the milky eyes. I don't know about the bloodshot stuff. I don't know if that. I don't think that would happen. I think it's just the milky blue eyes, but the skin slowly rotting away. And then they also didn't make it like super wrinkly because whenever you decompose, you actually don't get like wrinkled. Your skin actually kind of smooths over because it's drying out. It's almost like your like if you see mummies, their skin is smoothed over. It's not like all wrinkly and baggy or anything like that.
Yeah. It almost stretches over your bones.
Yeah, so I think they did a pretty decent with that. What about you guys?
I think I would put maybe like a 7.5. Like it would have been higher but like thinking about the like, you know, decomposition parts. And as well as like some of the other things with like when she's killing the brother, and how clean she was able to get it before like the main character got home. There would have been blood splattering a lot more places. It would on the couch, on the ceiling. Blood goes places.
Arterial spray.
Yeah, and then but so for like things like that, like the practicality of that kind of stuff, that is kind of lowers it, but the relationship part I think was very realistic because they even have that scene where she's passed out drunk after she's come back from the dead, and he sees her sleeping and peaceful and actually like goes down and kisses her, immediately regrets it. But that is a very real moment for somebody that's in that type of relationship because you do have those moments of like, well, now that they're not actively being a dickwad, they're kind of sweet looking, and I do kind of still have a little bit of feelings fluttering around in there. And so then you might like have that moment of like softness. I do also like the fact that, you know, she was, you could debate whether or not she was evil before she died, but when they were like, you know, you get your wish, but it's evil, they did crank up her abuse to like 11.
Oh yeah.
So I do think that like the relationship aspect of it, the unrealistic parts are the blood splatter, some parts of the decomposition. She kind of started to go almost more deadite than traditional zombie, especially towards the end. And then the fact that the brother can get so much poon.
Yeah, the brother was kind of nasty. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Or the women in that area just had really, really low standards.
But like you see him get like blown off by chicks that walk past him when he's sign spinning. So where's he getting like?
I don't know if he pays for it or what. But I do take points off for that. I'm thinking probably about a 6 as well. I believe the decomposition was slowed a little bit since they did take care of the body with the embalming and everything. I feel like there would have been a bit more structural damage after she got hit by a bus.
Yeah.
I feel like her skin wouldn't have been quite as intact. It would probably still have been a closed casket funeral. But not bad, and it does still kind of further the plot a little bit.
On the closed casket funeral thing, there's a lot that you can do to make it still be an open casket. Like I had a friend who died getting crushed by a trash compactor, and they managed to have an open casket funeral for him.
Okay, we're going to circle back to that probably after the podcast, because I need to hear this. But
yeah.
Anyway, the reactions in the movie were a little bit varied and really interesting to me and fairly accurate. So, like the main guy, Max, his reaction was pretty much on point. He slammed the door in her face and for a moment thought he was just hallucinating.
Yeah.
Like, this can't be happening. There's no way. This kind of stuff doesn't exist in real life. And then he's like, when I open the door, there's going to be no one there. And then he opens it and she's still there. And he's just kind of inside freaking out, trying to keep it together while she's trying to jump his bones. And the entire time is being repulsed, but like trying not to really hurt her feelings.
Yeah.
Because he's thrown right back into the toxic relationship. Like, her coming back and rotting is basically a physical representation of her just being a super toxic person.
Yeah.
And him stuck in that toxic relationship with her.
Yeah.
So I think that was pretty well done. The love interest reaction was pretty good too. She thought that Evelyn had just left. The guy wasn't very explicit in saying, "Oh, she got hit by a bus and died." So
I loved the things that he said though. Like,
it was great. She moved on.
She moved on. I threw her under the bus.
Yeah, the movie has some really good lines.
It was great. And his reaction to her death, I think, was pretty accurate too. He had been in that relationship for a while and he was going to break up with her, and for her to die after he called her to that park, all that guilt he must have been feeling. Like, yeah, he wanted her out of his life, but he didn't necessarily wish her to die.
Yeah.
So he was feeling guilty and upset. And so just sitting in that apartment, everything unchanged and not taking care of himself, I feel like would be pretty accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it doesn't matter how toxic a relationship is. If they die, it's still emotions that you go through. It's kind of like it's only until after you've kind of come to terms with their death that you're like, oh yeah, they really were toxic, and then you kind of move on from there. It's like you almost have to move on like 2 different times.
Yeah. You have to grieve two different ways: their death and the time spent with them as well.
Yeah.
So you have to move on in both senses, and I think the movie did a pretty decent job portraying a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that the smell alone should have been portrayed a little bit more.
They had flies going around like a halo.
They had one fly a few days after she came back, and then they added a second one toward the end, almost at the very end. So I feel like there would have been more.
Honestly, his landlord should have come knocking
Yes.
the day after of what is that stench?
Yeah. Well, and the neighbors.
Yeah.
The neighbors didn't complain about the smell or the noises they were hearing as she was killing a person and him screaming.
Yeah.
I don't know what apartment had that thick of walls and flooring and ceiling. I do like how he mentioned when she stomped her foot and broke the board. He's like, there goes the deposit. Such a relatable moment.
I know. But
also, how that's a bad building if you've got just actual floorboards for an apartment, because they usually have concrete for the floors. Because it's sturdier.
You would think, and it also blocks a bit more sound. So, again, how did no one hear the screaming when she was killing a dude? And he was a big dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the thump or whatever.
Yeah.
I at least want to hear somebody hitting the ceiling with a broom.
Yeah. Or banging on the wall. Hey, shut up. We're trying to sleep. You turn it down over there.
I will have to
Stop kink shaming me.
I will have to say, and I guess I should have said this in the entertainment, I really love the transition of whenever he is grieving his dead ex-girlfriend, how you see the plant just slowly die. I thought that's a really cool transition.
It also shows roughly how much time has passed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which shows that she should have been a lot more decomposed when she shows up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting, though, that she pulled herself out of her grave right as he started to move on. Like the Satan genie was like, haha, you thought.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's also part of their wish, though.
Yeah.
Because in a way, I mean, she got killed right when he was going to break up with her. And then right when he is about to move on, she comes back from the dead. I think it's just a wish trying to keep itself.
Yeah. Which for those kinds of especially traditional jinn wishes, a jinn doesn't even have to be satanic. Jinns are just assholes.
Yes. That's where the be careful what you wish for thing comes from.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, my allergies are just going nuts.
Oh. Well,
yeah.
Is there anything else you guys wanted to add to the realism scale? There's nothing I can Okay.
Yes. When he called the police department that first time he tried to call them for help, they wouldn't have just hung up immediately. They would have told him, sir, prank calls are very bad. They tie up the lines for people that have real emergencies. If you continue to do this, then there will be consequences, kind of thing. And also when he goes to the police department, in LA, there is one cop that was in the bathroom and nobody else.
Yeah, that's true.
Now that cop, I would like to point out, he was the neighbor in the Gremlins.
Oh.
The one with the tractor that was telling the kid, it's Gremlins. It's a real life gremlin. So that little cameo was nice.
Yeah. Well, I also have heard, though, that depending on the type of prank phone call, like if they're essentially faking that something is happening, they'll still send an officer over there, but the officer will give them a citation.
Yeah.
But anyways, well, it was fun having a guest on the podcast. Where can people find you?
People can find me if they like podcasts at transfieldguide.com. My podcast is specifically about trans people, trans needs, trans health, and things of that nature, as well as straying into a little bit more other LGBT stuff. And then if you like reading, you can find me at writtenbyldcarson.com. That's where you can find all of my books under my pen name, LD Carson.
I do have to say, too, that even if you're not trans, that podcast is very educational. Like, it's very, I've been able to hear viewpoints that I've either been too nervous or a little bit too personal to ask for. And so it's really, I don't know, it's been very enlightening, but in a very positive way. So, and then of course your books, it's like I started reading your first book, but I haven't read the rest. I'm sorry, but it was good with what I read.
My heart, it breaks. You don't care at all.
But there's a lot of good information in those podcasts, guys, and the books are really fun to read. So please, please, please go check out his stuff. Yeah. And this is coming out right before our live stream. V will be joining us on our live stream this Saturday at 7 p.m. on twitch.tv. So please join us. If you can't make it, guys, remember we do always post the live stream in parts on our YouTube. So don't forget to subscribe and like our channel so that you see those notifications, hit that bell, and you'll be able to see those when they come out. We usually post those on Fridays.
Yes. So.
Okay. All right. Well, if you guys have any other recommendations or anything, please let us know. Until the next time, guys, stay safe and stay spoopy. Bye.
Bye.